The night was still and dark, London's narrow streets bathed in shadows. In the heart of the city, a small group of men gathered quietly, their hearts racing with anticipation and fear. They were about to embark on a plan as dangerous as it was daring. If successful, this plot would shake England to its core, altering the course of history forever. In 1605, England was a nation deeply divided. The Protestant Reformation had swept through Europe, and the nation found itself under the rule of King James I, a Protestant monarch whose reign was marked by growing tensions between the Protestant majority and the Catholic minority. Years of persecution had left many Catholics feeling desperate and angry. They were seen as threats to the stability of the realm, and their hopes for religious freedom had been crushed under the weight of harsh laws and oppressive policies. In this charged atmosphere, a small but determined group of Catholics formed a deadly conspiracy, driven by a single, explosive goal: to end Protestant rule and reclaim their place in society. At the center of this plot was Guy Fawkes, a man whose name would become synonymous with rebellion and treachery. Born in 1570 in York, Fawkes had lived through a tumultuous period in England's history. His early life was shaped by the religious conflicts of the time, instilling in him a fierce loyalty to the Catholic faith. As a soldier, he had gained experience fighting for Catholic causes in Europe, and when he returned to England, he brought with him a determination to take action against the injustices faced by his fellow Catholics. Alongside him were a group of like-minded conspirators, each driven by their own experiences of persecution and a shared desire for change. Their plan was audacious: to detonate a massive cache of gunpowder beneath the House of Lords, killing the king and most of his government in one fell swoop. This act of violence was not merely about assassination. It was a statement, a declaration of war against a regime they saw as illegitimate. It was a desperate gamble, one that would either bring about a new dawn for Catholics in England or seal their fate forever. As the conspirators met in secret, the stakes of their plan grew ever higher. With each passing day, they faced the risk of discovery. The king's spies were everywhere, and trust among the group was fragile. Every whisper could lead to betrayal, and every misstep could bring the entire operation crashing down. What if their plan succeeded? Would it lead to a Catholic England, or would it unleash a wave of retribution that would endanger all they held dear? What if they failed? The consequences were dire, not just for them but for all Catholics in England. On the eve of the plot, a sense of foreboding hung in the air. The conspirators were acutely aware that their actions could lead to not only their deaths, but also the suffering of their families and communities. They were motivated by a mix of desperation and conviction, believing they were acting not only for themselves, but for a larger cause. Their resolve was tested, and as the fateful day approached, the tension grew palpable. But who exactly was Guy Fawkes? What drove him to become a figure of both fear and fascination? As we explore the Gunpowder Plot, we will uncover the complexities of Fawkes' character, a man torn between duty to his faith and the brutal realities of a society that marginalized him. We will delve into the motivations of the conspirators, the events leading up to their audacious plan, and the historical context that shaped their actions. This is the story of the Gunpowder Plot, a tale of courage, conflict, and ambition that still echoes through time. It is a narrative filled with drama, intrigue, and the high stakes of rebellion. As we journey through the lives of these men and the events that unfolded, we will pose essential questions about the nature of power, faith, and the lengths to which individuals will go to seek justice. Their story is not just one of failure, but also of resilience and defiance against oppression. What might have happened if their plan had succeeded? How would history have been rewritten? Join us as we unravel this captivating chapter in history, examining the choices made and the consequences faced by those who dared to challenge the status quo. The Gunpowder Plot remains a powerful reminder of the clash between belief and authority, a conflict that continues to resonate in our world today. Guy Fawkes was born in 1570 in York, England, during a time when the country was embroiled in intense religious conflict. His family background reflected the complexities of this period. His father, Edward Fawkes, was a Protestant who served as a steward to the local lord. But after his death, Guy's mother, a devout Catholic, remarried. This shift in family dynamics would have a significant impact on Guy's upbringing and beliefs, as he navigated the treacherous waters of a nation divided by faith. Growing up in York, a city with a rich history and a melting pot of religious beliefs, Fawkes was exposed to the stark realities of the religious divide in England. The tension between Catholics and Protestants was palpable, with each group viewing the other with suspicion and hostility. Fawkes' early education was influenced by the prevailing sentiments of his community, which was predominantly Protestant. However, the loss of his father and the subsequent changes in his family life likely deepened his connection to his mother's Catholic faith. His childhood was marked by contradictions, where he learned about loyalty to family and faith amidst a backdrop of societal discord. By the age of 8, Fawkes had experienced the death of his father and the turmoil of his mother's remarriage, shaping his identity as a Catholic in a Protestant nation. This early exposure to loss and conflict instilled in him a sense of resilience. Despite the pressures to conform to the dominant Protestant culture, Fawkes' upbringing fostered a strong commitment to his Catholic roots. The complexities of his family life, coupled with the societal pressures around him, created a foundation of conflict within him. As he grew older, the injustices faced by Catholics in England became increasingly apparent, further fueling his sense of urgency for change. Fawkes' education reflected the duality of his upbringing. He received a basic education that was common for boys of his social standing, which included reading, writing, and arithmetic, along with religious instruction. The schools he attended were often influenced by Protestant ideology, yet he remained steadfast in his Catholic beliefs. The impact of this educational background would later be evident in his articulate expression of grievances against the government. At the age of 16, Fawkes made a pivotal decision that would shape his future. He traveled to Europe to seek military training. This experience was transformative and exposed him to the broader Catholic struggle against Protestantism. He joined the Spanish army and participated in several campaigns in the Low Countries, where he honed his skills as a soldier. This time abroad was crucial, as Fawkes witnessed firsthand the harsh realities of war and the lengths to which people would go to defend their beliefs. The fervor of Catholic resistance in Europe ignited a passionate fire within him, reinforcing his dedication to the Catholic cause. While serving in the military, Fawkes formed relationships with several key figures in the Catholic resistance. He met individuals who shared his desire for reform and resistance against the Protestant government in England. These connections would later play a critical role in the Gunpowder Plot, as Fawkes and his comrades sought a way to enact their vision of a Catholic England. The camaraderie he experienced during these years strengthened his resolve and prepared him for the challenges that lay ahead. Returning to England in the early 1600s, Fawkes found himself in a country still reeling from the consequences of the Protestant Reformation. King James I's ascension to the throne in 1603 had initially sparked hope among Catholics for greater tolerance. However, as disillusionment set in, Fawkes witnessed the harsh realities of life for Catholics, who remained marginalized and oppressed. The restrictions imposed by the state only intensified his frustrations, fueling his desire to take action. During this turbulent period, Fawkes became involved with a group of conspirators who shared his frustrations. Led by Robert Catesby, this circle of activists met in secret to discuss their grievances and the potential for rebellion against the Protestant government. The relationships he built during his military service played a crucial role in the formation of this group. These meetings marked a turning point in Fawkes' life, as he began to see the possibility of violent resistance as a means to achieve their shared goal. As the conspirators brainstormed strategies, Fawkes emerged as a key figure within the group, leveraging his military experience to develop the plan that would come to be known as the Gunpowder Plot. His commitment to the Catholic cause was unwavering, and he viewed the plot not merely as an act of rebellion, but as a means to reclaim a lost way of life for Catholics in England. This determination was deeply rooted in his personal history, as he had witnessed the suffering of his fellow Catholics and the societal injustices they faced. However, Fawkes' journey to this pivotal moment was not without its challenges. The psychological toll of his experiences, coupled with the weight of responsibility he felt toward his fellow Catholics, created a complex internal struggle. As he grappled with the morality of their plans, doubts and fears crept in. Would their violent approach lead to the change they sought, or would it plunge them deeper into chaos? The stakes were incredibly high, and Fawkes had to reconcile his passion for justice with the potential consequences of their actions. The influences of Fawkes' early life, his family background, education, and military experiences, came together to shape his convictions and ultimately propel him toward the Gunpowder Plot. By understanding his upbringing, we gain insight into the man who would become a symbol of resistance against oppression. His story is not merely one of a would-be terrorist, but of a man shaped by a turbulent world, driven by his beliefs, and willing to risk everything for a cause he deemed just. As we reflect on Fawkes' early years, it becomes clear that his path was marked by the intersection of personal and political struggles. The societal pressures of his time, combined with his personal experiences, created a complex tapestry of motivations that propelled him toward one of history's most infamous plots. His story is a compelling narrative of faith, struggle, and rebellion, reflective of the broader societal tensions of his time. In the following sections, we will explore how these early influences culminated in the audacious plan to change the course of English history. The journey of Guy Fawkes is not just a historical account. It is a reflection of the human spirit's desire for justice and belonging in a world marked by conflict. As we delve deeper into his story, we will see how the personal and political intertwined, leading to a moment that would resonate through centuries. In the early 1600s, England was a nation fraught with political tension and religious conflict. The reign of King James I, marked by his efforts to unify a kingdom divided by Protestant and Catholic factions, set the stage for the rise of figures who sought to challenge the status quo. Among these figures was Robert Catesby, a man who would ultimately become the architect of one of history's most notorious conspiracies, the Gunpowder Plot. Catesby was born in 1573 into a family of modest means but significant Catholic lineage. His father was a successful landowner, and despite their Catholic faith facing increasing persecution, the family maintained a certain level of influence within their community. Catesby's upbringing instilled in him both a deep loyalty to his faith and a profound disdain for the oppressive policies of the crown against Catholics. These early experiences would shape his worldview and lay the groundwork for his future actions. In his youth, Catesby was well educated and had the opportunity to travel abroad, further expanding his horizons. His travels exposed him to the broader European conflicts of the time, including the ongoing 30 Years' War. This conflict, which pitted Catholic states against Protestant ones, would later serve as a backdrop for the turmoil Catesby faced at home. The political landscape was shifting, and Catesby's eyes were open to the power struggles that defined not only England but also the continent. As he reached adulthood, Catesby became increasingly involved in Catholic circles. The growing discontent among Catholics in England fueled his ambition to act against the injustices faced by his faith. In 1601, he was drawn into a failed rebellion known as the Essex Rebellion, led by Robert Devereux, 2nd Earl of Essex. Though the rebellion ultimately failed, it ignited a fire within Catesby, compelling him to seek more radical means to address the grievances of Catholics in England. By the early 1600s, Catesby had solidified his position as a leader among the Catholic community. His charisma and fervent beliefs attracted like-minded individuals, including prominent figures such as Guy Fawkes, Thomas Winter, and John Wright. Together, they formed a tight-knit group, united by their commitment to overthrowing the oppressive Protestant regime. In 1603, King James I ascended to the throne, succeeding Elizabeth I. Catesby initially harbored hopes that James would be more tolerant of Catholics, given his mother's Catholic roots. However, James's policies proved to be equally hostile, leading to further disillusionment among the Catholic populace. It was during this period of mounting frustration that Catesby began to conceive of a bold plan. A plot to blow up the Houses of Parliament during the state opening, effectively assassinating the king and the Protestant elite. The idea of a violent insurrection was not new. However, Catesby's vision was distinct in its ambition and scale. He sought not only to eliminate the king, but also to instigate a broader uprising that would restore Catholicism in England. This revolutionary zeal was fueled by a sense of urgency. Catesby believed that the time for action had come, and the clock was ticking. In 1604, Catesby and his conspirators began to acquire the necessary resources for their plot. Under the guise of a coal merchant, they rented a cellar directly beneath the House of Lords, where they could store the gunpowder needed for their explosive device. This careful planning showcased Catesby's strategic mind, as he navigated the complexities of secrecy while building a network of support among discontented Catholics. As the months passed, Catesby and his fellow conspirators expanded their ranks, enlisting men who shared their fervor and commitment to the cause. This group, now known as the Gunpowder Plotters, included notable figures like Fawkes, who would play a crucial role in the execution of their plan. Fawkes, with his military background, was tasked with managing the explosives, bringing a level of expertise that would prove invaluable in their endeavor. However, as the plot progressed, tensions began to mount within the group. Differing opinions on the course of action emerged, particularly regarding the potential repercussions of their violent tactics. Some members expressed doubts about the morality of using such extreme measures, fearing that it would only lead to further persecution of Catholics. Catesby, resolute in his beliefs, pressed on, dismissing concerns as distractions from their ultimate goal. The stakes grew higher as the planned date for the assassination approached. On November 5, 1605, the group finalized their preparations, unaware that their plot had already attracted unwanted attention. One of the conspirators, fearing for his family, sent an anonymous letter warning a member of the House of Lords not to attend the opening of Parliament. This letter would set off a chain of events that would lead to the unraveling of their carefully orchestrated plan. As the dawn of November 5th arrived, the conspirators gathered, believing that history would remember them as the architects of a new order. Little did they know that their ambitions would soon be thwarted. Following the warning, authorities conducted a thorough search of the Houses of Parliament, leading them to the cellar where Fawkes was found guarding the explosives. The moment he was captured marked a turning point, not only for the conspirators, but for the future of England. In the aftermath of the plot's discovery, Catesby and his fellow conspirators fled, but their freedom was short-lived. A manhunt ensued, and many were apprehended in the following days. Catesby, cornered and outnumbered, chose to fight rather than surrender. In a dramatic confrontation at Holbeach House, he met his end, marking the tragic conclusion of a fervent dream for change. Catesby's rise to prominence was a complex tapestry woven with ambition, conviction, and ultimately, tragedy. His determination to challenge the established order reflected a profound discontent that resonated with many Catholics of the time. Though his actions led to failure and personal ruin, the legacy of the Gunpowder Plot would endure, sparking debates about religious tolerance, state power, and the lengths individuals would go to fight for their beliefs. As we reflect on Catesby's life and the tumultuous events surrounding the Gunpowder Plot, we are reminded of the fragility of political and religious landscapes. His story serves as a powerful testament to the idea that even the most ambitious plans can be undone by unforeseen circumstances, leaving behind a complex legacy that continues to resonate in discussions about faith, governance, and the human spirit. The late 16th and early 17th centuries were marked by intense religious conflict in England, largely stemming from the Protestant Reformation. Initiated by figures like Martin Luther, this movement challenged the Catholic Church's authority and led to the establishment of various Protestant denominations. In England, King Henry VIII's desire for a male heir precipitated a break from Rome and the founding of the Church of England in 1534. This shift sparked a wave of persecution against Catholics, who were seen as loyal to the Pope rather than the Crown. The political landscape became increasingly fraught as Catholics faced imprisonment, execution, and social ostracism. By the time Robert Catesby emerged as a prominent figure in the early 17th century, the political and religious climate had solidified into a battleground where Catholics were disenfranchised and desperate for change. Catesby's early life unfolded against this backdrop of turmoil. Born into a Catholic family, he experienced firsthand the repercussions of the state's hostility toward his faith. The failed Spanish Armada invasion in 1588 only intensified anti-Catholic sentiment, as it was viewed as a divine punishment against England's Protestant establishment. This prevailing atmosphere of distrust and persecution set the stage for Catesby's radicalization and his later involvement in the Gunpowder Plot. With the rise of King James I, who was initially seen as a potential ally for Catholics, hope flickered briefly before dashed expectations led to further disenchantment and plotting among the Catholic community. The Essex Rebellion of 1601 serves as a crucial turning point in Catesby's life in the wider context of Catholic resistance. This rebellion was led by Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex, a former favorite of Queen Elizabeth I, who felt marginalized by the court. His ill-fated attempt to seize control of London was met with swift defeat, leading to his execution. Catesby was among those drawn to the cause, believing that a successful uprising could shift the political tide in favor of Catholics. The rebellion's failure resonated deeply within the Catholic community, demonstrating the risks associated with overt political action. It underscored the precarious nature of their position and sowed the seeds of desperation that would later manifest in the Gunpowder Plot. Catesby's involvement in the rebellion illuminated his commitment to a cause that seemed increasingly hopeless. Following its collapse, he witnessed firsthand the harsh repercussions faced by Catholics, including intensified persecution and a growing sense of isolation. The aftermath of the rebellion forced Catesby to reconsider his approach, as he grappled with the realization that conventional methods of protest would likely yield little fruit in an environment hostile to his faith. This experience fueled his radicalization, leading him to contemplate more drastic measures to effect change in England's religious and political landscape. In the wake of the Essex Rebellion, Robert Catesby began to embrace a more radical ideology. His frustration with the ongoing persecution of Catholics catalyzed a shift in his approach to political activism. Influenced by the tumultuous political landscape in Europe, particularly the 30 Years' War, Catesby envisioned a violent uprising that could potentially restore Catholicism to England. He was inspired by the idea that force could be a legitimate means to achieve political change, especially in a society that had consistently marginalized his faith. Catesby's charismatic leadership qualities began to shine as he gathered a group of like-minded individuals who shared his vision. This core group included prominent figures such as Thomas Winter, John Wright, and Guy Fawkes. Together, they conceptualized the Gunpowder Plot as a means to not only assassinate King James I, but also to blow up the House of Lords during the state opening of Parliament. Their goal was to eliminate the Protestant leadership in one fell swoop, thereby creating a power vacuum that could be filled with Catholic loyalists. This drastic turn toward violence was not taken lightly, but the group's mounting desperation propelled them to act. The socio-political climate in England further fueled their radicalization. The promise of reform from James I, who had previously been perceived as sympathetic to Catholics, quickly faded. Disillusionment grew as James maintained policies that favored Protestantism, causing many Catholics to lose faith in peaceful negotiation. Catesby's rhetoric resonated with a populace eager for change, and his growing notoriety within the Catholic community positioned him as a leader in the movement towards rebellion. The planning phase of the Gunpowder Plot was marked by secrecy and meticulous strategy. Robert Catesby and his conspirators recognized the need for a well-coordinated operation to ensure its success. They devised a plan to acquire 36 barrels of gunpowder, enough to destroy the House of Lords, and everyone within it during the state opening of Parliament on November 5, 1605. To execute this ambitious scheme, Catesby and his co-conspirators rented a cellar beneath Parliament, where they would store the explosive materials. The conspirators faced numerous challenges in the planning stages. The logistics of acquiring gunpowder in a time of stringent regulations posed a significant hurdle. They resorted to subterfuge, procuring the gunpowder from suppliers and ensuring that it went unnoticed. As their plans solidified, the conspirators also recognized the importance of enlisting a diverse group of supporters. Some conspirators were motivated by religious fervor, while others were driven by personal grievances against the crown. As the date approached, tensions mounted. Catesby and his associates meticulously mapped out their roles, recognizing that their collective success depended on flawless execution. Yet the risks were substantial. Any hint of their intentions could lead to dire consequences. Catesby's conviction remained unwavering, however, as he believed that the plot would not only change the fate of England, but also restore the Catholic faith to its rightful place. The stakes were at an all-time high, and the conspirators felt a mix of determination and fear as they prepared for what they believed could be a turning point in history. November 5, 1605, was intended to be a day of monumental significance. The conspirators planned to detonate the gunpowder beneath the House of Lords, killing King James I and many of his supporters. However, fate intervened. Just days before the planned attack, an anonymous letter warning a Catholic member of Parliament to stay away from the state opening raised suspicions. This letter sparked an immediate investigation, prompting authorities to search Parliament for explosives. The discovery of Guy Fawkes, who was caught guarding the barrels of gunpowder, sent shockwaves through the conspiratorial ranks. Fawkes' capture was the catalyst that unraveled the carefully laid plans. Under torture, Fawkes revealed the identities of his co-conspirators, leading to a swift crackdown on the rest of the group. Catesby and others fled London, desperate to avoid capture and certain execution. The plot, which had once seemed so promising, crumbled in the face of unforeseen circumstances. The aftermath was chaotic. Catesby and his fellow conspirators, now fugitives, sought refuge but were pursued relentlessly by authorities. Their hopes for a successful uprising had transformed into a desperate attempt to survive. Catesby's leadership was tested as he grappled with the reality of their failure and the impending consequences. The once tightly knit group began to fracture under pressure, and the specter of betrayal loomed large. The reality of their situation became clearer. the dream of restoring Catholicism through violence was slipping away. The aftermath of the Gunpowder Plot was characterized by widespread panic and swift retribution against the Catholic community. Following the failed plot, the English government declared a state of emergency. Catesby and his fellow conspirators were labeled traitors, and the Crown's response was merciless. A manhunt ensued, with authorities determined to capture every individual associated with the plot. The severity of the government's reaction demonstrated the extent of the threat they perceived from Catholic dissenters. Catesby's final stand occurred at Holbeach House, where he and a handful of supporters took refuge. Surrounded by soldiers, they faced overwhelming odds. In a desperate bid to fight back, Catesby and his companions defended themselves against a force that outnumbered them significantly. The confrontation ended tragically, with Catesby ultimately falling in battle. His death marked the end of a radical chapter in Catholic resistance, but it also solidified his legacy as a martyr for the cause. The repercussions of the plot extended beyond the immediate fate of the conspirators. The failed uprising catalyzed a wave of anti-Catholic sentiment throughout England. Persecution intensified, with laws enacted to further restrict the rights of Catholics. The events surrounding the Gunpowder Plot created a climate of fear and distrust, reinforcing the divisions between Protestant and Catholic communities. Catesby's actions, once seen as a rallying cry for justice, became synonymous with treachery and betrayal in the eyes of the English crown. The legacy of Robert Catesby and the Gunpowder Plot is complex, marked by both admiration and condemnation. In the years following the plot's failure, Catesby became a symbol of Catholic resistance. His commitment to the cause resonated with those who shared his faith and frustrations. Over time, he was romanticized in literature and folklore, portrayed as a tragic figure willing to sacrifice everything for his beliefs. This portrayal contrasted sharply with the government's narrative, which depicted him as a villain and a traitor. The annual observance of Guy Fawkes Night, celebrated on November 5th, further cemented Catesby's legacy. Originally a day of thanksgiving for the plot's failure, it evolved into a more complex celebration that included effigies of Fawkes and Catesby being burned in effigy. This tradition reflected the ongoing tensions between Protestants and Catholics, serving as a reminder of the events that unfolded in 1605. Catesby's story continued to resonate in the context of religious and political struggles in England. His actions prompted discussions about the ethics of rebellion and the lengths individuals might go to in pursuit of their beliefs. The Gunpowder Plot's historical significance extends beyond its immediate consequences. It serves as a poignant example of the clash between faith and authority in a tumultuous era. Catesby's life and death illustrate the complexities of loyalty, faith, and resistance, leaving an indelible mark on England's historical narrative. The Gunpowder Plot reached a critical juncture as its planners prepared to execute their scheme. Shrouded in secrecy and marked by rising tensions between the Protestant government and its Catholic subjects, the conspirators, driven by a fervent desire to challenge the monarchy and restore Catholicism in England, faced personal dilemmas. Guy Fawkes, Robert Catesby, and their compatriots were at a crossroads, torn between their loyalties and the gravity of their actions. As they meticulously crafted their plan, the air thickened with anticipation. This build-up created an atmosphere ripe for drama, setting the stage for a confrontation that would alter the course of English history. On the eve of the planned attack, the conspirators gathered to finalize their plans, a moment fraught with uncertainty. Each member of the group was acutely aware of the stakes involved, and doubts began to infiltrate their minds. Fawkes, known for his steadfast resolve, shared in the anxiety that permeated the room. As they discussed their roles, personal anecdotes and interactions painted a vivid picture of camaraderie and conflict. Were they feeling confident, or did the weight of their monumental decision hang heavily over them? These questions loomed large, heightening the suspense leading up to the pivotal moment. As the sun rose on November 5, 1605, the conspirators prepared to execute the Gunpowder Plot. Each man had a role to play, and the gravity of this moment hung in the balance. The streets of London bustled with life, unaware of the catastrophic event that was about to unfold beneath the House of Lords. The conspirators' hearts raced as they approached their target, their meticulous planning poised to bear fruit. This narrative will emphasize the potential consequences of their success and the stark realities that awaited them. However, fate took a cruel turn. Just hours before the planned detonation, the conspirators were betrayed. The tension reached its peak when authorities received a tip-off, prompting a search of the House of Lords. Guy Fawkes was discovered in the cellar, guarding the barrels of gunpowder. The dramatic tension surged as he was arrested, and chaos erupted among the conspirators. They realized their plot was unraveling, their hopes dashed by the treachery that sealed their fate. Fawkes's capture marked a critical turning point, and the unfolding events would forever change the trajectory of their lives and the religious landscape of England. In the wake of the plot's discovery, the immediate fallout was swift and unforgiving. Panic spread through London as the authorities launched a frantic hunt for the remaining conspirators. The city, rife with suspicion, became a cauldron of fear and anger. This section will explore the chaos that ensued as captured conspirators faced a grim reality. Many attempted to flee, desperate to escape the impending doom, but the government's grip tightened. The portrayal of the events served as a tool to manipulate public sentiment against Catholics, consolidating the government's power and stoking the flames of sectarian animosity. As the captured conspirators faced trial, the legal proceedings transformed into a public spectacle. This segment will detail the trials of Guy Fawkes and his associates, emphasizing their treatment and the charges laid against them. The atmosphere in the courtroom was heavy with tension, as the conspirators' fates hung in the balance. The motivations behind the harsh sentences, which often included execution, will be explored in the context of the prevailing political climate. The somber proceedings and the pleas of the conspirators reflected the dire stakes at play, as the courtroom became a theater for the drama of justice, or the lack thereof. The climax of this narrative culminates with the public executions of the remaining conspirators. The gallows loomed large, a grim reminder of the consequences of their actions. As the conspirators met their fate, the atmosphere surrounding the event was charged with emotion. The public's reaction varied from outrage to a grim sense of satisfaction as the executioners carried out their orders. The statements made by the conspirators in their final moments resonated deeply, highlighting their resolve and the convictions that led them down this path. This moment served as a critical turning point, not only for the plotters but for the relationship between Catholics and Protestants in England. In the aftermath of the climax, we reflect on how the failure of the Gunpowder Plot influenced English society, politics, and religious dynamics. The impact on Catholic communities was profound, as fear and distrust festered in the wake of the conspiracy. This section will examine the long-term repercussions of the plot, framing the climax within the broader narrative of English history. The decisions made on that fateful November day continue to echo through time, raising questions about loyalty, faith, and the lengths to which individuals will go for their beliefs. As we draw connections between the events of November 5, 1605, and their lasting significance, we must ponder the implications of such a dramatic climax on the collective consciousness of a nation. The resolution of the Gunpowder Plot marked a significant turning point in British history, characterized by both immediate consequences and long-lasting effects. Following the dramatic capture of Guy Fawkes and the unraveling of the conspiracy, the government swiftly moved to consolidate power and reinforce its stance against Catholicism. This section will explore the various dimensions of the resolution phase, focusing on the political, social, and religious ramifications of the failed plot, as well as the decline of the conspirators' ambitions and the long-term consequences for England. In the immediate aftermath of the failed plot, the government initiated a comprehensive crackdown on Catholics. The events following November 5, 1605, created an atmosphere of suspicion and hostility toward Catholic subjects. This response was not just a reaction to the specific conspiracy, but also a reflection of the broader religious tensions that had been simmering in England. Parliament enacted a series of punitive laws targeting Catholics, leading to widespread persecution and the alienation of Catholic communities. The portrayal of this decline illustrates how the Gunpowder Plot shifted the power dynamics within England and solidified the Protestant establishment's hold over the nation. The trials of the surviving conspirators showcased the government's determination to root out dissent and enforce its authority. The legal proceedings were marked by harsh sentences, with many conspirators executed in public displays of retribution. This segment will delve into the individual fates of the captured plotters, highlighting their personal experiences and the varying degrees of resistance they exhibited during their trials. The legal consequences served as a means of instilling fear among the populace and discouraging any future rebellions against the state. This part of the narrative emphasizes the harsh realities of the political landscape and the lengths to which the authorities would go to maintain control. As the dust settled on the events of the Gunpowder Plot, the English monarchy experienced a shift in perception and power. James I, who had been under significant threat from the conspiracy, emerged from the crisis with a renewed sense of authority. This section will examine how the failed plot contributed to the consolidation of royal power and the strengthening of the monarchy's resolve against Catholicism. The events surrounding the plot became a rallying point for the Protestant establishment, uniting various factions against a common enemy. The consolidation of power will be framed within the broader context of early 17th century England, emphasizing how the aftermath of the Gunpowder Plot shaped the political landscape for years to come. The decline of Catholic influence in England became increasingly pronounced following the Gunpowder Plot. The repercussions of the conspiracy extended beyond immediate reprisals. They solidified negative stereotypes of Catholics as dangerous and untrustworthy. This narrative will explore the long-term impacts of the plot on the perception of Catholics in England, examining how propaganda and public sentiment were manipulated to further alienate this group. The societal division created by the events surrounding the Gunpowder Plot deepened, leading to a period marked by mistrust and animosity that persisted for generations. The portrayal of this decline will highlight the ways in which religious identity and political allegiance became inextricably linked in the fabric of English society. In the years following the Gunpowder Plot, the memory of the conspiracy became a powerful symbol for both sides of the religious divide. For Protestants, the foiling of the plot served as a reminder of the dangers posed by Catholicism, reinforcing their belief in the righteousness of their cause. This segment will discuss how the Gunpowder Plot was commemorated in Protestant circles, becoming a part of the national consciousness through annual celebrations such as Guy Fawkes Night. The enduring legacy of the plot in popular culture and the collective memory of the events surrounding it will be explored, illustrating how the narrative of the conspiracy continued to shape public perception long after its resolution. Conversely, for Catholics, the Gunpowder Plot represented a tragic turning point, marking a period of increased oppression and exclusion. This part of the narrative will delve into the Catholic response to the aftermath of the plot. Despite facing persecution, many Catholics sought ways to maintain their faith and identity while navigating a society that viewed them with suspicion. The resilience of Catholic communities in the face of adversity will be highlighted, showcasing their efforts to preserve their traditions and beliefs during a time of turmoil. The eventual decline of the conspirators' ambitions mirrored the fading hopes for a Catholic revival in England. As the years progressed, the political landscape shifted, and the ambitions that had driven the conspirators began to diminish. This segment will reflect on the broader implications of the Gunpowder Plot for the Catholic cause in England. The ambitions that once inspired men like Robert Catesby and Guy Fawkes were gradually supplanted by a more pragmatic approach to navigating the complexities of English society. The decline of radicalism among Catholics, influenced by the fallout of the plot, contributed to the evolution of Catholic identity in England, leading to a period of quiet endurance rather than open rebellion. As the narrative concludes, it is essential to consider the Gunpowder Plot's lasting legacy in British history. The events of November 5, 1605, resonated far beyond their immediate consequences, shaping the course of English religious and political history for centuries. The lessons learned from the plot's failure prompted ongoing discussions about loyalty, governance, and religious tolerance. This reflection will emphasize the importance of understanding the plot within the broader context of English history, illustrating how it served as a pivotal moment in the struggle for religious identity and political power. In summary, the resolution and decline of the Gunpowder Plot encapsulate a complex interplay of political, social, and religious dynamics. The aftermath of the failed conspiracy significantly influenced the trajectory of English history, fostering a climate of division and suspicion that persisted for generations. Through the lens of the Gunpowder Plot, we gain insights into the challenges of governance, the fragility of religious identity, and the enduring impact of historical events on societal consciousness. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605, although a failed conspiracy, left a significant mark on English history and society. Its repercussions influenced the political landscape and shaped cultural identities within England. This legacy can be examined through shifts in religious tolerance, political discourse, and cultural memory. Following the Gunpowder Plot, the relationship between Protestants and Catholics in England became increasingly strained. The government responded to the conspiracy with harsh laws against Catholics, fostering a climate of suspicion. This period saw intensified repression of Catholic practices, leading to a systemic marginalization of Catholics. As a result, the plot contributed to a distinct Protestant identity in England, deepening religious divisions. The plot also sparked discussions about religious tolerance in a diverse society. As the Catholic population faced increasing hostility, debates about governance and the rights of religious minorities began to surface. This narrative highlights how the Gunpowder Plot set the stage for future movements advocating for religious freedom and equality, extending its legacy beyond immediate repression. The aftermath of the Gunpowder Plot changed political discourse in England. It raised critical questions about loyalty and national security, prompting debates about the extent of governmental authority in matters of faith. The plot led to increased centralization of power under James I, marking a shift toward a governance model that prioritized state security over individual liberties. Additionally, the public's reaction to the plot encouraged political engagement and discussions about accountability. Over time, these dynamics contributed to the emergence of constitutional principles that challenged absolute monarchy. The plot's legacy can thus be seen as a catalyst for political evolution, emphasizing the importance of public opinion and citizen participation in governance. The cultural memory of the Gunpowder Plot endures through annual commemorations, especially Guy Fawkes Night. Celebrated on November 5th, this event initially served as a public demonstration of gratitude for the king's survival. Over the years, it evolved into a broader cultural phenomenon, symbolizing rebellion against authority. The imagery associated with Guy Fawkes, particularly the effigies burned during celebrations, has become part of popular culture. This analysis examines how the plot has been memorialized in literature, art, and modern media, reflecting societal attitudes toward dissent and governance. The lasting impact of the plot on cultural consciousness is illustrated through various artistic expressions that convey themes of resistance and critique of authority. The legacy of the Gunpowder Plot extends into contemporary discussions about terrorism and political extremism. In an age marked by global conflicts, the historical memory of the plot serves as a lens to examine government responses to perceived threats. This section explores how the plot has influenced modern political discourse, particularly regarding national security, surveillance, and the treatment of minority groups. Parallels between the Gunpowder Plot and contemporary instances of political dissent highlight how historical narratives continue to shape our understanding of loyalty and betrayal. The discourse surrounding the plot provides valuable insights into the challenges of governance in a diverse society, prompting reflection on balancing security and civil liberties. To fully appreciate the legacy of the Gunpowder Plot, it is essential to situate it within the broader historical context of religious conflict in Europe. The early 17th century was marked by significant tensions between Catholic and Protestant communities, influencing political alliances across the continent. This section explores how the events of the Gunpowder Plot resonate with similar conflicts, illustrating the interconnectedness of religious and political struggles during this tumultuous period. The plot's legacy is further enriched by its relationship with subsequent events, such as the English Civil War and the Glorious Revolution. These historical moments were shaped by the ongoing struggles for power and religious identity influenced by the fallout from the Gunpowder Plot. This narrative highlights how the legacy of the plot reverberated through history, informing future generations' understanding of governance, faith, and national identity. In conclusion, the legacy of the Gunpowder Plot is multifaceted, encompassing religious, political, and cultural dimensions that continue to resonate in modern society. The plot serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of political stability in the face of dissent and the complexities of navigating a diverse and divided society. Reflecting on the legacy of the Gunpowder Plot reveals its impact beyond the events of 1605, shaping discussions about tolerance, governance, and cultural identity that remain relevant today. Through this exploration, we gain a deeper understanding of the historical significance of the Gunpowder Plot and its enduring impact on British society. The lessons learned from this pivotal moment in history inform our approach to contemporary issues, reminding us of the importance of dialogue, understanding, and the need for an inclusive society that respects diverse perspectives and beliefs. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605 serves as a crucial moment in British history, encapsulating the complex interplay of religion, politics, and societal values during a tumultuous period. As a failed conspiracy aimed at assassinating King James I and restoring Catholic rule in England, the plot not only illustrates the extent of religious tensions, but also reflects the broader struggles for power and identity that characterized the early 17th century. The aftermath of the plot resulted in severe repercussions for Catholics, leading to systemic persecution and a marked shift in public sentiment towards Catholicism. This period established a climate of fear and distrust, ultimately solidifying a Protestant identity that would shape English society for centuries. The legacy of the Gunpowder Plot extends beyond its immediate effects on religious and political landscapes. It prompted significant discourse on governance and the role of the state in managing dissent. The harsh measures enacted against Catholics following the plot initiated a dialogue about religious tolerance, freedom of expression, and the limits of governmental power. The tensions resulting from the plot spurred debates that would influence future movements advocating for civil liberties and rights, thereby laying the groundwork for the more inclusive democratic principles that emerged in later centuries. Culturally, the Gunpowder Plot has endured in the collective memory of the British public, particularly through the annual observance of Guy Fawkes Night. Initially a celebration of the king's survival, This event has evolved into a symbolic representation of rebellion against authority and a critique of governmental power. The imagery associated with Guy Fawkes has permeated popular culture, making it a potent symbol for dissent and resistance against oppression. This cultural memory reflects the continuing relevance of the plot in discussions about authority, governance, and the rights of the individual. The plot's influence is also evident in contemporary political discourse, particularly regarding issues of terrorism and state security. The historical narrative surrounding the Gunpowder Plot provides insights into how societies respond to perceived threats, highlighting the delicate balance between ensuring national security and upholding civil liberties. The parallels drawn between the plot and modern instances of political extremism illustrate the enduring challenges of governance in a diverse society, reminding us that the lessons of the past continue to inform our understanding of contemporary issues. In summary, the Gunpowder Plot of 1605 stands as a pivotal event that shaped not only the trajectory of English history, but also the cultural and political landscape of the nation. Its legacy serves as a reminder of the complexities inherent in navigating issues of faith, power, and identity. The repercussions of the plot resonate through time, influencing discussions on religious tolerance, governance, and civil liberties. As we reflect on this historical event, it becomes clear that the lessons learned from the Gunpowder Plot are not confined to the past, but remain relevant in our ongoing pursuit of a more just and inclusive society. Ultimately, the story of the Gunpowder Plot is one of conflict, resilience, and transformation. It encapsulates the struggles faced by individuals and communities in the quest for recognition and respect in the face of adversity. By examining the plot and its aftermath, we gain valuable insights into the challenges of governance, the importance of dialogue, and the necessity of fostering a society that embraces diversity and upholds the rights of all its members. The legacy of the Gunpowder Plot is a testament to the enduring impact of history on contemporary society, reminding us of the ongoing journey towards understanding, tolerance, and mutual respect in a world often marked by division and discord.